Bowie, Burroughs, Halloween Jack and the Diamond Dogs. In late 1973 to 1974, no one quite knew what the next step in the career of David Bowie would be. In less than 2 years, he had gone from having modest success in his home country, the UK, to worldwide superstardom. His last album, Pin-Ups, released the 19th of October 1973, had been a covers album of songs Bowie had loved in the 1960s, and though it had reached number 1 in the UK and number 27 on the Billboard charts, a lot of critics at the time suggested this was the start of Bowie's decline, the beginning of the end. Little did they know it was just the end of the beginning. The rumours flying around at the time suggested we might get Ziggy Stardust the musical, or a musical adaptation of George Orwell's novel 1984. Another proposed idea was an urban apocalyptic scenario influenced by the work of William Burroughs. It turned out Bowie had written songs for all of these projects. Some would be saved, reworked and moulded into his next album, Diamond Dogs. February 1974, Bowie released the first single from the new album, Rebel Rebel, with its classic Stones-like riff that hits you right between the eyes. Bowie once said, "It's a fabulous riff. When I stumbled upon it, it was like, oh thank you." Bowie plays the guitar riff, but it's augmented by Alan Parker, session musician Alan Parker. From what I can gather, the augmenting is that little bend that comes in after the line, "Hot Tramp, I love you so." But take a listen to the work of Tony Newman on drums and Herbie Flowers on bass. Their work on this song should not go unnoticed. Rebel Rebel was a classic glam rock single, so where was Bowie headed? Or was he just going to stay in one spot? No, it became very clear when Diamond Dogs was released in May that year that Rebel Rebel was his swan song to the world of glam. Glam rock by then was becoming a sad parody of itself, and Bowie, always with one eye on the ball, was moving on. But in doing so was bidding a fond farewell to the genre where he finally found success after all the years of trying. Diamond Dogs. The album kicks off with the spoken word track, Future Legend. On Ziggy Stardust, Bowie told us that we have 5 years left. On Future Legend, that decline is well underway, as Bowie describes a post-apocalyptic Manhattan. With fleas the size of rats, sucked on rats the size of cats, and 10,000 peopleoids split into small tribes, coveting the highest of the sterile skyscrapers, like packs of dogs. It is said that this track and the next, the album's title track, were written for the proposed project with William S. Burroughs. Burroughs' novel from 1971, The Wild Boys, depicts a homosexual youth movement whose objective is the downfall of Western civilization, and it's set in an apocalyptic late 20th century. Armed with Bowie knives. Bowie has cited this book and A Clockwork Orange as inspirations for his work between 1972 and 1974. As Future Legend comes to an end, Bowie comes out with the all-time classic rock line, "This ain't rock and roll, this is genocide." But listen carefully to the cheers in the background, and you'll hear Rod Stewart go, "Well hey, it's lifted from a Faces concert." With Mick Ronson gone, Bowie handled nearly all the guitar playing on the record. Recalling in 1997, he practiced every day, knowing his playing had to be more than just okay. Ronson's playing would have put an extra sheen on the tracks for sure, but Bowie's raw garage rock guitar sound suits the record perfectly. There's also a lot of Bowie's sax playing on this record. Again, David was never the greatest player in the world, but that sleazy, decadent noise he squeezes out of that instrument is perfect for Diamond Dogs soundscapes. The track Diamond Dogs lurches around, sleazy, sassy and stoned, as Burroughs' Wild Boys now morph into the Diamond Dogs. Bowie's lyrics are superb as he paints a picture of a world gone crazy. The Diamond Dogs are poachers and they hide behind trees. Hunt you to the ground they will, mannequins with kill appeal. That Halloween Jack is a real cool cat and he lives on top of Manhattan Chase. The elevator's broke, so he slides down a rope onto the street below. Oh Tarzy, go man go. In London, in those early 70s, a popular trend in graffiti was whether you wrote up the name of your favourite football team, your favourite band, was to finish it with the words rules okay, i.e. Tottenham Hotspur, rule okay, Bowie, rules okay. Hip as ever, Bowie finishes the track with his own piece of musical graffiti. Keep cool, Diamond Dogs rule okay. Sweet Thing, Candidate, Sweet Thing Reprise. I always think of this mini suite of songs set in the middle of side one as one of the finest moments of Bowie's career. His vocals are just extraordinary. At the start of Sweet Thing, we have Bowie singing in a very deep baritone. But as the song progresses, he transports us through all of his 4-octave range, from that deep baritone to falsetto. When younger, David never had that much confidence in his ability to sing, but constant work on his voice paid dividends. But his ace in the pack was his ability to put across maximum emotion and feeling in that voice. Lyrically, Bowie surpasses himself yet again. Like a portrait in flesh who trails on a leash. Will you see that I'm scared and I'm lonely? So I'll break up my room and yawn and run to the centre of things, where the knowing one says, boys, boys, it's a sweet thing. Boys, boys, it's a sweet thing, sweet thing. If you want it, boys, get it here thing. 'Cause hope, boys, is a cheap thing. As we move into Candidate, Bowie nods to the constant pressure of performing. My set is amazing. It even smells like a street. And the show business life. I'm having so much fun with the poisonous people, spreading rumours and lies and stories they made up. Some make you sing and some make you scream. One makes you wish that you'd never been seen. But there's a shop on the corner that's selling paper mache, making bulletproof faces, Charlie Manson, Cassius Clay. At this time, David Bowie was using the cut-up technique famously used by William Burroughs. Bowie described the technique to the Daily Mail in 2008. You write down a paragraph or two describing several different subjects, creating a kind of story ingredients list, I suppose, and then cut the sequences into 4 or 5 word sections, mix them up and reconnect them. You can get some pretty interesting idea combinations like this. You can use them as is, or if you have a craven need not to lose control, bounce off these ideas and write whole new sections. Sweet Thing Reprise drifts into around the 1 minute 37 mark, some heavy industrial sounding backwards guitar, aided by a cast iron rhythm from Flowers and Newman. I found over the years that most reviewers tend to ignore this section, but if you want the beginnings of industrial rock, it could be right here. Bowie might not have been a virtuoso guitarist, but his raw visceral sound is pretty incredible. And it leads us straight into that awesome Rebel Rebel riff. Side 2, When You Rock and Roll With Me, is a power ballad written by Bowie and his friend Jeff McCormack, also known as War and Peace. The song is salvaged from the Ziggy Stardust musical. Bowie sings The Door That Lets Me Out. Is this the death of Ziggy, his classic pop period? And moving on. We Are the Dead. This comes from the scrapped 1984 musical and was rewritten many times before appearing in its final version here. George Orwell, 1984. The birds sang, the proles sang. The party did not sing. All around the world, and in London and New York, and in Africa and Brazil, and in the mysterious forbidden lands beyond the frontiers, everywhere stood the same unconquerable figure, made monstrous by work and childbearing, toiling from birth to death and still singing. Out of those mighty loins, a race of conscious beings must one day come. You were the dead, theirs was the future, but you could share in that future if you kept alive the mind as they kept alive the body, and passed on the secret doctrine that 2 + 2 makes 4. We are the dead, he said. We are the dead, echoed Julia dutifully. "You are the dead," said an iron voice behind them. It's a strange, beautiful track, with Bowie providing eerie harmonies to accompany his lead vocal. Next up, 1984. Well, you can guess where this one comes from. Why it wasn't a huge hit back then, I'll never know, because it was released as a single. It's magnificent. When Bowie performed it live, it was a showstopper. It's Isaac Hayes' shaft, wah-wah guitar rhythm track and its heavy, funky feel was a definite hint of what was to come next. The Diamond Dogs cover shows Ziggy morphing into something else, and the next time we saw David, Ziggy was gone, and slick back hair and soulboy threads were the new order of the day. Next up, Big Brother. Don't talk of dust and roses, or should we powder our noses? Don't live for last year's capers. Give me steel, give me steel, give me pulses unreal. He'll build a glass asylum with just a hint of mayhem. He'll build a better whirlpool. We'll be living from sin, then we can really begin. Bowie's vocals on this track, like the whole album, is off the scale, and the way he builds up the intensity and emotion over the final 3 minutes of this track is just incredible. Someone to claim us, someone to follow, someone to shame us, some brave Apollo, someone to fool, someone like you. We want you, Big Brother. While Bowie pleads for Apollo, the god of rational thinking and order, it's really all just smoke and mirrors, because underneath, the rebels live on. The album comes to a close with the chant of the ever-circling skeletal family. It's a distorted guitar loop which changes time signatures from 5/4 to 6/4. It does sound very alien and very strange, and comes to an abrupt end, with a record needle stuck in the groove effect on the word brother. So there you have it. It's a great album, and for me, one of Bowie's finest. It all came out of a mishmash of various ideas and projects, the William Burroughs idea, the Ziggy Stardust musical, and 1984, the stage musical. But Bowie put it all together and came up with something utterly brilliant. If you haven't heard it, or you haven't heard it for a while, go back and have a re-evaluation of it, because it is a great, great record, in my opinion. Thanks for listening. Please stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more to come if you like the stuff I'm doing. So, take care.